Today on Code Vlogs, episode 14, we're going to be making a test scene in Blender to import. And this scene is going to have multiple models, multiple textures, and we're also going to put some identifiers for where things should be, just so that we can test that that's where they are. Yeah, so that's where we're at right now. More on this later. Alright, just exporting these colors as textures here, and we should be able to load this in. I'm not going to texture this text at first because I want it to just get the default colors, which should work, and we will find that out. Default color in the engine is a bit of a gray, which is defined in the default shaders somewhere. Yeah. Well, the diffuse should be reddish in color. If it doesn't have a texture, lit stuff should be, oh, I don't know what color actually the lit stuff's going to be. I think it's grayish. It was whatever the flashlight was before we added textures last episode. So we're going to export this, do a little testing with it, see if everything comes in properly, see if it reads the textures properly. And this will be a good little benchmark to have. So we're actually going to export this as a benchmark. Edit or render. Where is it? Never mind. Export, I mean. And we can try different formats too to make sure they're all handled okay. Because if we export this, well, FBX has the option of baking textures. I don't know if this works properly in Blender, but OBJs are pretty great for non-animated stuff, and Collada seems to be the most open for now. GLTF is like the OpenGL/Vulkan standard, so I might use those if I'm not going to do DirectX. Of course, the engine still is on OpenGL, but there is the intention of putting in a Vulkan renderer before too long. And wow, there's just so much for one person to do, as you guys probably are starting to notice here, in a game engine. So I would very much love to have a teammate at some point. We'll see if that happens. If you wish to apply, join the Discord, say I want to work on it or something, or just start making pull requests, because this is completely free and open source, in case you haven't noticed. And now at this point, we are stepping through the model loader and finding out exactly what happens on this failed loads. So that's what I'm going to be doing for a while until I come across something that seems like it's causing the problem. Now, this is often the most time-consuming part of programming. You have an idea, and things are going well, everything's coming together quickly, and that's always like the fun part. But the reality is, at some point, especially when you're doing complicated things, you're going to run into a situation where things aren't going as expected, and you have to step through the code very carefully and hope that something pops out as the issue of your problem. Of course, it's great to have an idea of where to look, and if you go into debug mode and run it in debug mode, you should get info about all your variables. So in something like Visual Studio, you can hover over them. There's ways to do this in GDB as well if you're using only command line, but it is not as beginner friendly as pressing F11 or F10 to step through your code. Don't want to start a tutorial on that. Maybe it deserves its own, but the point is, this is what you end up spending a lot of time doing, and that's what I'll be doing for the foreseeable future until this gets straightened out. And I thought I'd just hit record and put that little thing out there because it is the reality of things. That's why they pay us the big bucks. Okay, and I've stepped a bunch now, and I'm at that magical point where one of my models, I know for sure, is loading the texture wrong. So it's on this particular iteration that I'm looking for exactly what's happening at that texture load that is in theory failing. So I'm going to skip down a little bit, hit continue, because I want to go over all the vertices and meshes quickly. Actually, I kind of need to know, is it doing the textures right? And some stuff like that. So I'm going to look at these vertices, and I should be able to do that by just hovering over, oh, size 0. Size 0. Okay, maybe this is part of the issue. Maybe I'm not at the point I thought I was. Let's see, the mesh that we're processing says has 1500 vertices. So we should be going through all those. We should be going through all the faces. Has some bones. Okay, maybe I'm not at the point I thought I was, but yeah, I thought I was on the hair of that, you know, the guy with the weird hair, but maybe not. So this is the reality of debugging. Who knows how long I'll be doing this, but hopefully I'll have it straightened out before too long, because I would like to continue on with what the other stuff I have planned. Also, this is not a bad thing. Some people get to this step and they just like get really frustrated and basically quit. But here's the kicker. This is where you really learn. When you start digging in like this and analyzing the data, things will click that have never clicked before. And if you just refuse to do this step, you have no way of ever getting that stuff and you're doing yourself a disservice. So don't be afraid to get in and start debugging. It's incredibly valuable in more ways than you'd ever imagine. Yeah, it's always touted as, it's super painful, it's the worst, but it's growth. This is growth. I did say at some point that I'd keep it real with these code vlogs and that they'd be pretty raw. It's about as real as it gets. It's not something I would typically show off or ever make a video about. Usually people make videos about their coding. Oh my goodness, where am I? I'm just going through these vertices endlessly. Okay, yeah, usually when people make videos about their coding, they might give you a quick blurb of, oh, I spent 2 hours debugging this, and then they'll show you the cool result, and that's the video. And you get the impression that it's hard, but you don't quite understand how they solved it and stuff like that. So I'm trying to kind of show some of that. Okay, and I just stepped through some debugging and I didn't see it, but I'm trying to resolve this guy's hair. Clearly his hair, oh, it looks grayish. That's just the default shader color, I believe. So it should appear as, well, the color of his eyebrows and eyelashes. I think they're kind of like a dark brown auburn color. So that's what we should be seeing. And I believe it's from the same texture that's on the right to the rest of his body. So something's not quite that with that. And yes, we do have some new scene elements. I was just testing out multi-objects with textures, and those seem to work okay as OBJs. For example, this ground has a texture. Each of these has a texture. These primitives, and they're all part of the same object. So it does work, multi-texturing multiple different textures on multiple different objects in one scene. You load it all up in the same go. But for some reason on this guy, it's weird. Now he is a collodophile, and this guy is I think he's an FBX. He might be a collodophile too. And she is an FBX with all embedded textures. So embedded textures are okay. Now, yeah, still haven't got to that part. I'm trying to get this texture part understood first, but yeah, just to visually show what I'm looking for. I'm looking for where his hair is loading and what it's actually doing, why it's not showing correctly, because it's a bit of a mystery as it works on some objects, but not others. So we're going to keep stepping through it. One of the things I have noticed about this model is it has a gazillion blank nodes. I don't know why it has so many blank nodes, but that's something we're going to have to figure out. So maybe it's not an issue because it's designed to handle them. However, maybe I've got some case in there that I'm not aware of where if there's too many blank nodes or something, it starts to do something different. So yeah, we're going to be walking through this for a while, as far as I know. Now, another thing I like to do when I'm in the middle of all this is just kind of, if you're not sure if it's exactly the model, maybe the model's messed up, launch another game engine, launch Unity, launch Unreal, launch Godot, and try importing your model in there and see how that goes. For example, some random test scene. And if I go to that model that I was working on that is acting weird, let me find him here. It's in this one, and it's the walking, this guy. I don't have any software that opens it on my computer, and it looks like I can't just drag it in, but maybe I can drag it in down here. We'll see. Maybe it'll give me, okay, failed, re-import. Okay, looks like I have walking in here twice. That's fine. I don't necessarily want that. I just want the... Okay, so it didn't bring it in at all. It looks like it only tried to bring in the animations, I think. But I want the actual model data. So what's going on there? Okay, let's try this guy. Failed to import. So what? So I guess Unreal doesn't support collodophiles. That seems strange to me. They are one of the largest, biggest engines. Why wouldn't they support one of the most commonly used formats? I have no clue. This is news to me. So maybe we'll try. Okay, I could try the other engines, see what it does in there. But now I'm wondering, and I'm asking the question, why does Unreal not support Collada? That seems strange. Maybe I shouldn't support Collada either, but I'd like to do my own research and find that answer for myself rather than just making assumptions. But you can see here, I have added the other model in here, the one that's not loading correctly for me as an FBX. Well, it loads correctly when not animated, but as you can see, she's working okay here, and animations work okay here too. So I know that this model is pretty good, but what's going on with that call out file? So here I've loaded up Unity, and we're going to try these same models, see what they do in here. Start with the walking, see what it lets us do. Hold on, it brings in, it looks like a model. Whoa, he's absolutely massive. So Unity does bring it in, and it looks like he's partially walking already. Don't ask me why this is so huge. I don't know. It's just like that, I guess. I don't know if there's anything else relevant here. Does he have his animations ready to go? Does he have his textures? Doesn't look like it. It looks like, okay, but it does do something that looks like it might be pretty important for me to realize. He is in separate parts. I can click his leg sections, looks like. Well, let's see here. I can click his torso. So this would explain maybe all the different, okay, I do see some bones here too. And it looks like there's different parts of this mesh. There we go, mesh. There's a shoe mesh. There's a pants mesh. So this is why in my loader it's flipping through so many things. There's a shirt. So there's a lot of different meshes on this model. And it looks like my engine is doing a lot of the stuff fine. Speed up this camera. Like it's handling all the meshes on the hands and shirt fine. It's just the hair that gets different. So what's going on there? Maybe we can select his hair. Looks like it's part of his spine. Can we set this to rendered or something? I don't know. This clearly isn't getting the textures on this particular thing. I don't know why. I guess I'd have to bring it in manually. Maybe I'll do that real quick. So I've got it in. Let's see here. Textures. I believe it's this one is his diffuse. So maybe we'll try to click this guy and just give him. Can I click like this main, just the guy in general? I don't want to, I guess I got to go over here and do it. Here he is. And so this is a great way to quickly analyze what's actually going on with your model. It's just bring it in somewhere where it's going to tell you more detailed, basically. That way you don't have to specifically write a bunch of little test code to say this stuff. It can save you a lot of time because you're not going to necessarily want to have to rewrite stuff just to figure out things that could be answered quickly elsewhere. So how do we add a texture to this guy? Let's find out. Looks like at the root level we don't have much, and it looks like all these parts are separated. So what do I do here? I don't even know, honestly. I thought I'd be able to bring in textures somewhere, but oh, here's materials. Do I have that on the root level? No, there's no materials on the root level. So I guess I got to custom assign each one. But I'm not seeing even where I'm supposed to bring in the texture on here. So I don't know. I'm not a Unity user in general. I use it kind of for little tests and stuff, but I don't build games with it. So there's probably a lot I don't know. But materials, size 1, element, character, body. So I guess that this should instead go to this thing. What do I need to do? Do I need to make a material out of it? It's not really what I wanted to do there. So I'm guessing there's some way to make a material here. And now this is just becoming a live cast. New material. Can we put this on it? Can we say, hey, use this image? Maybe we do it as the albedo there. Yeah, there we go. And now we should be able to click this guy and give his individual parts some materials, I think. So that was his belt. Let's see if his belt looks normal. You can't even see his belt. His belt's under his shirt. How do you fly around in Unity? I don't know. It's really weird. Like I was doing it some, but it doesn't seem to work like you would think. Okay, so his belt's got textures. Let's try adding his shirt. So it should just be the same one. I think it's just reusing a single diffuse. So let's bring this on there. Let's go to his hair. Now his hair, wait, did I click his hair? I didn't click his hair. Hair. So he's got a hair set there. But if I bring in the diffuse, well, that's exactly what I'm seeing in my engine. So, well, on the animated one. But so maybe there is another texture that goes with this model entirely. Now we can have a look at this texture. I know it looks so strange, but I don't see any place here where it's necessarily the hair. So maybe, yeah, don't at me. So maybe it is weird. Look at these hands too. It's so funny. The stuff of horrors. We got shoes, we got pants. Maybe this here is the hair. That looks more like a belt or something. Maybe that's his belt. So would his hair be up here? I don't know if that dark space is supposed to be his hair or not. I can't tell. What about this? What's this down here? I don't know, but clearly that's not right. That's So another thing we can do is we can go back to where we got this model, which was from mixamo.com. Super awesome place, and we can load up this original model, and we can see it took a moment to load his hair there, but yeah, he's got the hair texture that you would expect to see. So is that coming from a special texture? What we can do here is just go ahead and re-download it as something that's going to bring, well, it's FBX or Collada. I was doing it in Collada. Now FBX will save all the textures internally, so that might actually be better. There's FBX for Unity. There's the Collada again. Okay, so I'm going to download it as Collada again, and I'm going to unzip it and see what kind of textures come with it. Because I don't know where I put those. I might have deleted them or something. There we go. We're getting it right here. Show in folder. There it is. My phone's ringing. All right, so we got it unzipped, and if we take a look at the textures in here, we have a diffuse, glossy, normal, specular. And this diffuse. This looks like it's the one that has the hair. Now, I'm pretty sure that I didn't bring this in, so it's probably just not finding it. In that case, I should be able to just copy this over into my textures. Here's my textures. And now it should find it. So it's 2 diffuse textures. I'm not sure if my engine actually handles multiple diffuse. It should. It should just look for this one for that mesh. Now it should find it. So yeah, I deleted like the normal and specular for now. I was going to bring them back in later. But I did not realize that there was also a hair diffuse. So that explains a lot. And now that that is in the proper folder, let's go ahead and just run our engine again. I'm going to put it in release, and I'm going to disable all breakpoints and just hit play and let it do its thing. And let's see what we get. Let's see if his hair looks right. And lo and behold, his hair is actually fine. That is not a problem with my model loader after all. Even on the animated model, his hair looks fine. So the model loader's fine. Error was in user, not bringing in the texture that I needed. So eventually with the debugging, I would have noticed that. But when I was flipping through that debugging, the only things I really noticed was that, well, basically that there are a lot of different meshes, and that I kind of got the impression that I should check that it's using that same texture or not. And yeah, I found the answer. The problem wasn't in the code, but still debugging kind of led to the answer because I eliminated a bunch of things. And now to work on this lady, since we got that guy sorted out. Do you see that flickering? I mentioned that last episode. But the far away flickering, does anybody know how to get rid of that? It's after about 1,000 units or so, it seems to start happening pretty heavily. I don't think it happens so much on the guys with lighting, just the diffuse only textures do that. So maybe it's not that big of a deal. I don't know, I'm not going to worry about it too much for now. Although it does look a little distracting. He'll look better with lighting on anyway. So yeah, onto this FBX animated model. Let's see if we can get her straightened out and go from there. I also noticed my screen goes dark when I hit the full screen button. That's not intentional. It doesn't happen on my screen. It's only on the recording, so I didn't realize until later. But yeah, we're going to be walking through this nightshade now, and I guess I'll just do a breakpoint and do that thing. I'm going to have to save that for next episode. This one's gone on pretty long, but hopefully you've enjoyed the episode. Alright, see you in the next one. Peace out.